Hey guys, and welcome to the first of what will be a series of Paranormal Histories videos, and what better way to kick it off than to do a collaboration with one of the most knowledgeable paranormal YouTubers that I know, and that is Kat from Paranormal Kativity. She's kindly agreed to come on and share some of the history of ITC with you, and she has done such an amazing job. Honestly, if you like this video and you like what she's got to say, please consider popping over to her channel and showing her some support. Honestly, you won't regret it. I've followed her for a while and I've learned so much from doing so. And so with that said, guys, I'm going to let Kat do her thing and tell you about ITC.
Hi, I'm Kat, and today Michael has asked me to go over some of the history of ITC, or Instrumental Transcommunication. Instrumental Transcommunication is any type of two-way communication using an electrical device between someone here and someone somewhere else, which usually is considered spirit voice. And it's pretty much a basic tool in most paranormal investigations today. The oldest known ITC experiment happened in 1900 with a priest who was also an inventor, and he ended up having a radio broadcast witnessed by many people with a phantom voice in it. And then a few years later, around the 1910s, he actually had some type of box, some type of spirit box voice device that many people witnessed him speaking into and getting responses out of, but no one ever really figured out what the box was or how it worked. After word spread about this spirit box in the 1910s, the next kind of iteration of the spirit box was through telephone. And so a lot of times people would have experiences through that. And Thomas Edison around this time also is quoted as saying that he believed that if the spirit did move on and was in a form that could be communicated with, there would be some type of device that could be created to be able to make that connection happen. So a lot of people thought that he actually worked on developing some type of like spirit telephone to be able to communicate back and forth, but it's never actually been documented as something he really created. Throughout the 40s and 50s, a lot of the spirit communication that was done was through telephone and radio still. But then in 1959, the person who was basically called the grandfather of EVP ended up accidentally coming across spirit voices when he went out to record bird calls out in nature. He picked up the device that he was recording with, went over the audio that was there, and there were voices talking to him. And this was a completely empty, vacant area where it was only animals there. There were no people, in no way that people could have been involved with anything close by his recording device. So in the late 60s, someone decided to take the recordings of the grandfather of EVPs and try and recreate them in a lab environment. And so after a lot of different tests and things, he ended up being able to block out all frequency and signal of any TV, radio, phone, anything that could be coming into the environment, blocked those out, and was able to get a audio recording of just pure white noise without interference and voices coming through it. He got over 200 voices in an 18-minute recording in a laboratory setting. Then in the late 70s, the Spiricom was invented. It is the creepiest thing I've come across in so long. It's amazing. I will send the link to Michael. I'm sure he'll put it in the description below. But essentially, these two guys decided to take frequencies that are most commonly found in the male vocal tone range and play them, and then it had a way to change in between the frequency tones, and voices would come through it. The main voice that they got to come through the Spiricom identified itself as Dr. George Jeffries Mueller, and he was a NASA scientist. Basically what he did was this deceased doctor was giving them advice on how to make improvements to the communication device they'd created to be able to communicate better back and forth with spirit. And the recordings are insane. Like, it sounds too good to be true. It's amazing. And you can actually hear like the voice quality of like inhales and pauses and like spit pops when you get ready to like speak. That came through on this. Like, it's some of the most incredible EVP stuff I've ever heard. So after this, in the mid-80s, we got our first instance of like a non-audio based ITC with someone getting messages typed through their computer to them. The spirit that was talking to him said that he lived in that house in the 1500s and was giving him information on like what life was like at that time for him in the same place. A year after that, which was 1985, We had our first instance of someone pointing a camera at a screen to create a constant feedback loop, and they started to get images and voices and moving pictures caught through that ITC feed, which is very similar to some of Michael's more recent experiments. Through the 90s and 2000s, EVPs were like where it was at. And so that's the main form of ITC that you'll find throughout that period. And it's just voices recorded through pretty much anything that could record audio, as well as different forms of white noise and EVP creation software. In the early 2000s, there was a free software created called EVP Maker that created acoustic tonal wave sound, and it would be able to be manipulated by spirit in theory to create words and sentences, which when I looked it up, I believe you can still download it. It wasn't available on Mac, and I haven't tried it on our other computer, but I think you might still be able to get that. In 2002, the first spirit box, as we know it, that's actually been called that and used and marketed, was something called Frank's Box. And it was the first one that you could purchase and actually use as a communication device. As of right now, the Spirit Box and EVP are two different things that people are most familiar with when it comes to ITC. I kind of wanted to close this just saying, if you guys are doing any experiments of your own and you get any evidence that you want to share, maybe make sure that you have some trusted friends that you can take some of that evidence to and kind of figure out what everybody collectively is feeling like the communication is saying, or what it visually looks like. That way, whenever you present it, like on YouTube or wherever you want to post it, you're giving it the most accurate kind of description that you possibly can, because it is something that is very subject to your own interpretation sometimes, and you just want to make sure that you approach it from the most logical standpoint possible. Thank you so much for having me, Michael. I had a blast. I loved learning about ITC, and I can't wait to see more of your experiments with it. So keep up the awesome work, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, guys!
Thank you so much, Kat, for taking the time to be a part of this video. I really do appreciate it. And to you guys, as I said before, if you like this video and you want to see more of it, her channel is full of paranormal histories, theories, urban legends. Honestly, you won't regret a second of it. I also have a video over there answering questions about my own experiences in spirit communication and ITC. So it's definitely worth checking out. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I'll post any and all activity as and when I get it.